Hi, so welcome to my second bullet journal video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Right now I'm going to do my little January theme. And so this monthly spread is themed after The Little Prince. I really thought it was an interesting one because it sort of shows how we're all stuck in our own world and how we sort of need to escape sometimes the prism of just being on our own solitary planet in order to understand other people. And I think that's really a 2019 mood, some exploring, some growth. So now you're gonna see just me doing some very basic, I like easy when it comes to drawing. So I'm just doing some little first roughings with pencil, as you know we do, just because I don't like too complicated, but I just want to talk over some themes. So what I found really interesting about The Little Prince, reading it over, after so much time, is how it sort of is about exploring yourself through understanding other people and understanding other people's complexities. So right now I'm just drawing the cool little borders, very basic, so I'm just using my little ruler and measuring it out. I'm gonna talk more about the symbolism. So I chose different colors. I chose like more of a different transitional sort of galaxy colors because when you think about it, like the Little Prince is actually just a sci-fi book. Really, it's a children's sci-fi. The prince is an extraterrestrial. He is baffled by the craziness and the ridiculousness of everybody being trapped on their own little planets. And it's very interesting the fact that everybody is solitary on these planets and that all the people he also interacts with are all men. We'll get back to that more later when I draw the rose. So I'm just transitioning through the colors. I go first with the Crayola Super Tips, and then I use just very basic Dollarama little pencil crayons. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm using the birds. So in one of the most iconic scenes of all of The Little Prince is when they're like, well, how did you leave the island? When the pilot who meets him in the desert, meets him and he's like, oh, well, many birds just carried me away. So I'm using the little Twitter birds that came with my little set. I know they're meant for Twitter, but I just found them a really good size. So they're very uniform, and I'm just going over with pencil crayon, and then I mark them over with my Muji pens just to have them carry him away from his rose, which you'll see it's over in the corner. Because I think also the fact that Twitter is crazy and how much it is a dumpster fire at times. It is essentially just people unfettered using words and describing each other, and how that can sort of take us away from just being stuck in our own world, sometimes destructively, and sometimes you can be aware of the world in a better way. And now I'm going over with little stars, very pretty, and then going over all the different days of the month, my Muji pen, and you can see also the planet, the original one. I did it purple as was done in the original scene, and now I'm going to do a very simple rose. So what happens before even the plot, because as you know, the prince is just recounting what happened to him and how he got to land in the middle of the desert in the earth. The reason why he left was because of this rose, and because he was in this codependent relationship with her, and he was constantly caring for her, protecting her, and it just got to a really negative place. So I just wanted to channel that energy of being like, you know what, even if you think other people would like just desperately need you, you need to make sure that you're exploring for yourself. And even if that means leaving behind something that's beautiful and something that has a lot of guilt associated with it, you just have to move on and find and explore yourself through understanding other people. So that's the energy I want to channel for 2019. So that's the theme I did. And I hope you can see on screen, I also wrote Jan out with just a beautiful Tombow brush pen that was gifted to me by my aunt. Hey, Aunt Liz, thank you. And then I'm just drawing stars all around because it's so cool, like, that there's a world outside of your own. And he's so stuck on this one planet, right? And then he meets other people that are so stuck in their own planet. It's very cool. So now my new page, I'm doing my lovely little habit tracker. you know I love me a habit tracker. And then I'm also going to do my gratitude. So I'm just doing my days labeled 1 to 31 all the way through, and then all the things I'm tracking. I'm tracking a lot less, and I'm finding it a lot more productive, actually, interestingly enough, just because that means that I can focus more on the individual things that I actually care about. And then I don't have all these blank things that I don't really care about. It's really, also, I should address the fact that I have a new bullet journal. This was something I purchased while working at Indigo, so I did get a staff discount. Not sponsored. Jokes. So yeah, I'm just writing out all the little things I like to track. So I have here 8 hours sleep, 3 meals, outside, cardio, showering, water, social, gratitude, creativity, writing, and I have more in depth, like writing 500 words, wording 1,000 words, writing more words, and reading for 30 minutes plus. So these are all things that I just think are super important. Who hasn't thought, like, did I shower yesterday? I'm not quite sure. It's way better for me to track and maybe to make sense of how like the past week has gone and get a big picture on how I'm doing with all these habits all throughout the month. And it does help me. It definitely brought up my word count during NaNoWriMo. Yeah, and then over the side, I'm just writing habit tracker. It's a very light, very low-key. I like an understated look when it comes to doing hand lettering. So I just do a very simple, and then I'm just going to draw some stars all around. If you guys are interested in how I do hand lettering too, I can definitely post a video on it. I'm by no means an expert, so I'll be able to do it very simply in a very quick way. I'm all about making things very approachable. Then these are my little key for habits. If you don't know, it's just vertical lines for if it's something I sort of did, diagonal lines if it's something I completely did, and then it's a little checkered tripe, crisscross fashion if it's something that I did more of. And then I'm doing my beautiful little Dutch door. And now I'm writing out what I like to do beside my habit tracker, which is just my memories and gratitude, because I have gratitude on my habit tracker. It reminds me to write down things I'm happy about. Overall, it makes me more happy on a day-to-day basis, more grateful for my everyday life, but also you're gonna watch me kind of mess up writing out gratitude. But happy accidents, folks, just like Bob Ross. I'm just gonna cover it over with some washi tape. And this washi tape I purchased on Amazon, and while it is beautiful, I love the patterns, it is not opaque. It does not completely cover, so what I ended up doing was just putting some white acrylic paint over. And I also did something cool. I got a nice little Polaroid camera, but I messed up a bunch of times like doing it in too dark lighting, so I'm just gonna stamp it in there and then draw a picture of something when I sort of think of a fun memory, just to remember the month. And now we're getting into the more space theme thing. So now I'm just doing a little planet with some rings, and then I'm gonna go and do some stars, always my stress list. So now I'm just gonna go in with a little sponge doodad and push it in because the paint was taking too long to dry. I also wanted more of a frosted look, almost. I wanted it to be very clear. And then boom bada bang, rewriting out gratitude. This time I'm doing it in still a sort of modern calligraphy style, but very much understated, so it's much more clear to write. Now movie magic. I did this before, but now I'm just drawing some more planets. I am drawing out a little red guy with a beautiful little storm happening in the middle that you can see. We really underestimate how much the Little Prince is like an extraterrestrial. He thinks himself so strange, even though he looks human in every way possible, but it's because he's from a different planet that he's sort of different, and he's able to understand people. But it's interesting that it's always men that he sort of encounters, or businessmen, a king, a drunkard, whoever he encounters. But yeah, we sort of all are challenged to understand other people as being in our own little worlds, literally, and in this point, so that we're all sort of isolated and we have to enter somebody else's realm to understand other people. But even then, he struggles very deeply with it, and I think that's something that's very relatable and rarely shown in children's literature, just because children struggle so much with empathy and with understanding other people because they can't understand their own emotions. So I think it's really cool that he sort of describes that, and the idea is that the reader's supposed to see, hey, like the prince isn't completely getting this either. He's not getting the businessman. So this is what I have to say. Thank you so much for watching it. This has come to the end. I'm just going to do a little flip floof. So you see my little stress list, my little habit tracker. Oh, that was a page. It wasn't that interesting, so I didn't include it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.